of the talks that are happening on my videos are not about consensus reality. That, in a sense, is like my disclaimer. So I'm not trying to convince anybody what reality is, what consensus reality is. I'm not challenging it. If you believe reality is something, then that's the way you see it. However, that consensus reality can be questioned. And in order to really get down to the core of what's behind all the questions about who I am and what I am, I can follow a consensus, the consensus on what reality is. But what if it doesn't give the answers? What then? Then the question remains unanswered. So there have been people that have asked those questions and have got right down to what I can only say is the core. And so that sort of thing does happen. So if you happen to be someone who asks questions and wants answers to those questions that are outside of consensus reality, then what are you going to do? So I don't have an answer for you. I can only say what I'm doing. So in front of me is a screen, and I am speaking to a screen. That's what's happening here. I'm speaking to a screen. I'm not speaking to you. Now, I'm just saying that because I know that consciousness can hear this. And why do I say that? Consciousness cognizes this, cognizes everything. So those questions get asked, and then the answer comes back in different ways. But when you look into those different ways, I start to see that they are all encapsulated by the same consciousness. So where do I begin with that? Well, I only have this present moment, because that's the only fact that I have right now. As a memory in the past, I've bounced these ideas off other people, and often there's this idea that the person says they don't exist. But I can't buy into that. For me, I exist. Right now, I exist. That for me is a fact. That is a fact that cannot be taken away. And that's not a declaration. That is part of what this recording is about. So I exist. And where do I exist? Yeah, it's a silly, maybe a silly question, but for me, it's imperative to ask that question. Where do I exist? Well, the obvious answer is here. What is here? In this room, in this body? Well, no, neither of those questions, those answers, are sufficient because they run into the realm of quantum physics. Now, I don't want to go into the math of quantum physics. I want to begin with what I have now, the fact, which is the present moment. That I know is a fact. I don't need the math of quantum physics to quantify that fact. Other people go on a tangent. They like that sort of thing. And I'm saying other people in the context of a scientific experiment. Now, the present moment, right now, I say that I exist, but saying it is one thing. Knowing it is another thing. Because let's face it, you can say many things about anything, but actually knowing it is another story. So the only fact that I know for certain is that I know I exist. And this very moment is the present. And so when I give my full attention to the present, I know that is happening. So now, what is happening? So if I look at knowing, now I've defined that, come down to the basics. Being present, I exist. I know that. So this knowing, what does that actually imply? So knowing actually implies two things. It's an action that's taking place right now, the action of knowing. And an action implies energy. And if I break up down everything, even that wall clock behind me, the paint in red, paint pink mascot, that's also energy. That's apparently vibrating. And there is a math that can quantify that. But that's not what I'm on about here now. I'm on about the basics. And how it's not necessary to use math to know what knowing is. So now knowing is an action taking place. An action implies energy. What else is knowing? Knowing also implies intelligence. So it's fair to say that energy is intelligent. So now that gives a hint in a direction in which to look. It's like a springboard. from which to investigate the present moment. Have an idea about what actually is happening. So this knowing, now, the present, at its absolute basic, is intelligent energy. Where's the person in that? Where is a person in intelligent energy? Where is a person in quantum math of the body of the universe? The person is an idea. Now remember, I'm not discussing consensus reality here. I'm not challenging your belief on whether you believe you're a person or not. That's got nothing to do with me. That's your thing. So there's the springboard and a pointer. This present moment is intelligent energy.